All right. So we're gonna be watching. We're gonna be watching the Comeback Kids video. It came out about a month ago. It's called "What the Fuck Is Happening to Gaming?" Okay. He says, "Why is gaming just not fun anymore?" So we're gonna watch this. Let me raise the volume a bit. So as we watch it, I only watched the first 3 minutes originally, and then I stopped and said, you know what? I'm gonna wait and watch it with you guys and give you my thoughts. So here we go.
For as long as I can remember, video games have always been a major part of my life and really my favorite hobby. I remember my oldest brother brought home a little game called The World of Warcraft, and it changed my life forever.
Real quick, I forget how many hours we got in Gotham Knights, but I enjoyed Gotham Knights. People that hate on it for just the 30 frames per second, the story it's good. It's a good story. And as a comic book fan, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every second of it.
This led to thousands of different adventures, universes, and stories, filling my childhood and teenage years with endless joy and promise. I always thought by the time I'd become an adult, gaming would blow me away. I mean, if I'm doing this today, I can't wait to see the future 20 years from now. But as I grew older, gaming changed.
I love how he says he gets older. I don't know how old the Comeback Kids are. I don't. They sound like they're in their 20s. Okay? Which, nothing against them, but you've seen absolutely nothing. You think the changes that happened from when you were like 13 to 25 were something? How about from the early 80s to now?
Battle passes, loot boxes, and everything became so heavily monetized. Games are constantly being released broken, buggy, or just poorly developed. Reboots and remasters are a normal occurrence because nothing new ever seems to stick. I still wish to this very...
Man, the first 45 seconds sounds like my entire channel that I've been talking about for the last 9 years.
Every day we could go back to that perfect time because sadly, those were feelings I would never get back again. There are a lot of reasons why gaming isn't fun anymore, and I think I finally know why. Okay, now the easiest way to understand why something is defective is to compare it to the best version of itself. In order to find out the problem with gaming today, we're going to compare it to the late 90s and 2000s time period.
Yeah, it's funny. Again, no shade to the Comeback Kids. He makes good videos.
Where gaming was at its most authentic. During this time, when you bought and owned a game, you could play the complete experience, and it was a very simple and fair trade between players and developers. This era in gaming was so great because there was no hidden manipulation, there were no tricks, you paid money, and the developer's main focus was to give you the most fun experience you could possibly
Make a game, sell a game, baby. Make a game, sell a game.
have. Developers at the time strongly believed that the better the game was, the more sales and money they would make. Every year, there was a brand new set of games on a wide variety of gaming consoles that pushed boundaries on things like story, gameplay mechanics, and graphics. Games rapidly innovating made things so refreshing, new, and it's what led to these games forever feeling nostalgic. Even PC games started to flourish, with popular games having access to expansion packs, giving you loads of additional content available for purchase. This would include more story, gameplay features, adventures, and expand upon the base game that already had a full experience of its own. Expansions like Warcraft 3, The Frozen Throne, Diablo 2, The Lord of Destruction, or Morrowind's Tribunal expansion. Think of it almost like a cheeseburger.
Uh-oh. He's using food analogies.
You have your basic burger with toppings, and things were still very good. An expansion pack would simply add on.
I just want to point out here. Do you see the hierarchy there? Right? Story, gameplay, art design, challenges, sound and music. I would move sound and music up a slot or two, but
burger with toppings, and things were still very good. An expansion pack would simply add on to that and give you something extra, like having fries, a drink. You knew exactly what you were getting, and none of it was abusive or predatory from the developer.
yeah, I'm fucking hungry now. I don't know what this video is about, but I'm hungry now.
End. Even the simple act of going to pick up physical copies at a midnight release felt like a big event that you never wanted to miss out on. Standing in line with friends and strangers who shared your passion for the game created an...
Oh, God, I miss these times, man. I miss these midnight events, okay? Hanging out with my friends, hanging out with complete strangers, having a conversation, just it's basically chat, but in real life, you're sitting in chat, right? You're sitting in line talking to chat. Miss those days, man.
Energy that felt warm and welcoming. It finally felt like you were a part of a community that no one would judge you about and everybody could just be themselves. All of these things just made games great. Everything felt meaningful. Everything felt fair. As time passed, things slowly started changing. As gaming grew in the East, we began to see additional monetization practices.
Yeah, see, people think the Armor was the first microtransaction thing, but it was MapleStory that was actually the first one.
Is it being normalized? MapleStory's Gacha loot box system in 2004 gave random in-game items at the cost of real money. They didn't think much of it at first, but the major return on minor development time was massive, and it started to raise some eyebrows on how much they were making. It was a moment in time where investors realized that it was worth dedicating at least a little bit of time not to actually developing the game.
And this visual right here is exactly what the video game is right now. Video games are right now, right? Before they even come up with the story, before they even come up with the game, I don't know if he's making a point here for this. I'm making the point with this picture here, okay? Before they even come up with the story, before they even come up with the gameplay and art design, all this other stuff, right? They go, I have an idea. I want to make a game, and this is what it is. They're like, well, can you put microtransactions in it? And they're like, yeah, I guess, right? And this is what video games is like now.
Game and making it better, but to develop small...
Can I just say, come back, kids. If you're going to use a picture from the internet, make sure you delete the watermarkings on the actual picture, or find a picture that doesn't have watermarkings on it. Maybe he didn't notice they were there because no one's going to pause it like I am. But come on. Come on, get a picture with no watermarkings on there.
All systems in the game to simply make more money from the player after the game was launched. As time went by, the US and Western gaming market wasn't influenced by loot boxes just yet. An almost freak experiment occurred with one of the world's most successful games at the time, The Elder Scrolls Oblivion. The first ever gaming skin was released at a very minor cost.
Horse armor. 2 years after MapleStory. Excuse me. 2 years after MapleStory with microtransactions. And this is what everyone brings the pinnacle of what microtransactions, right? They don't remember MapleStory. They remember Bethesda's, Oblivion with horse armor.
Of $2.50. This skin was in the form of horse armor, and like loot boxes, the developers didn't think much of it by releasing it to the public. And after they realized how many people bought it, developers started to think again. The work and development time to make a cosmetic is very small, and the return on investment is very large.
Okay, we just did a story on GXG this past week where World of Warcraft sold one mount that made more money than the entire game they worked on of StarCraft 2. Okay? One mount. Okay? So when you look at games like this, right? Let's look at the Suicide Squad that's coming out. Okay? That's the next game that's coming out that's going to be selling you microtransactions of cosmetics. Okay? When you can hire... When you can make a full game for $200 million, but you can make right? $200 million, you sell 3 million copies, and you're like, oh, it's a failure. But if you could take that one piece of armor, charge $10, and then sell that, right? You're like, gold. Okay? And that's the problem. Why? The way the industry looks at it, they're like, just make a bare minimum game and then sell microtransactions, where if they really realize that they made an actually good fucking game, they could put all the microtransactions they want in there, because if it's a good game and people play it, then they might partake in the microtransactions. But no. They take a page out of Bungie's book of, oh yeah, we're gonna put this game in here, but we're gonna sell you these microtransactions for cosmetics and take all the other stuff out of the game. Like, time? or money. Time or money. And most of the population will put their time in to earn something than pay. But the minority of the people will pay, and that's what they care about, because they can put the minimum viable product out and make the most money.
A single cosmetic can be sold for less than $5, but can be sold hundreds of thousands of times. The staple of once buying a game and getting the whole game was now slowly starting to change and get twisted. Even though you bought it, you don't have access to everything else inside of the game, and this wasn't fair to players. As the success of additional microtransactions grew, more and more we saw an increase in dedication and resources to making more money.
Yeah.
When this happens, they are taking away from development time to make the game better, and it began to spread like wildfire. Fast forward, EA Sports took notice of the success of loot boxes around
And this is where it all changed.
2009 and implemented it as card packs in their brand new Ultimate Team mode within the FIFA franchise. These card packs contain random players at random rarities, and you could purchase them with a form of currency you slowly gained over time. Or by spending real-life money, you could purchase them instantly. The design of making players frustrated with...
You know what I don't understand? I'm not this type of person. Maybe some of you guys are. I don't understand how you could buy a Messi, right, this year. And then you know that FIFA 2025 or 2024 is going to come out next year. And then you're going to buy Messi again. Right? You're going to buy the same game, just updated. Not even updated graphics, just the same game with a new roster, but the same roster. And you're going to go for the same people because he was a 99 this year. He's a 99 next year. And you want to pay for that yet again. I don't get it. I don't get it. But if you're one of those people, come back every day and watch the exact same video every single day and let me know, and also tip down below if you do that, because that's exactly what you're doing. It's the same fucking content every single day of your life, and you buy the exact same card next year. It's insane to me. It's insane.
Underperforming cards for free and giving you a paid chance to get great cards officially formulated.
No, shenanigans. You can't buy specific people. What I'm saying is Messi is in the game, and you pay for the loot box to get Messi. Once you get Messi, you're like, oh my God, I got Messi, right? And then next year you're like, oh man, I need Messi again. Let me get him again. It's like, it's so ridiculous.
But unlike that horse armor,
Let's see if I can beat my record last year. Last year I spent $12,000. Let's see if I can spend less this year.
that you knew you were getting for spending $2, this was completely random and you were gambling because great cards were not guaranteed.
I go Van Persie. I'm fucking done. I'm fucking done.
Before they even had the chance to release the next FIFA game less than 1 year later, the Ultimate Team design made more money than the box sales of the base game of FIFA itself.
Yeah, if you're making more money than the base game itself from the why would they change it? Why would they change it? They're never changing it. They're never changing it because there's an idiot born every second. And people are going to buy it. And when I say idiot, I mean idiot. But at the same time, if you love a game, you're going to spend money on the game. This is the way it is. But the industry is never going to change because the people are still buying microtransactions that are 10 times more than the actual game itself.
Wasting no more time, they immediately implemented this same exact game mode system inside of their next bestseller, the Madden franchise, with Madden Ultimate Team. What's even worse is the fact that none of these cards and progression carried over into the next year's game, meaning that with every new Madden or FIFA game, there was a shelf life on your cards that you purchased, forcing you to re-gamble card packs over and over again every year. I'm
okay with that.
Net revenue generated
Ron says loot boxes can save Gollum.
from EA based on strictly Ultimate Team modes from 2018 to 2021 generated over $5.5 billion in sales. This is more money made than Skyrim, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Cyberpunk 2077 sales off of their base box price combined.
Did you hear that again? Let me rewind that for a second. Let me rewind that for a second for those of you that missed it, okay?
modes from 2018 to 2021 generated over $5.5 billion in sales. This is more money made than Skyrim, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Cyberpunk 2077 sales off of their base box price combined.
Why would the industry change if Madden and FIFA is making $5 billion more than some of the 3 most popular games in the last decade combined?
Now, by this point, skins and loot boxes are being introduced across the gaming world commonly. In that same year, in 2009, one of the biggest gaming giants ever, World of Warcraft, introduced
Nah, Water, I live up in Orlando. I wouldn't run into them. Down south, you would, probably.
their very first microtransactions in the form of pets. These pets didn't affect your gameplay and were cosmetic in nature only, but cost you $10 if you wanted to buy them. Less than 1 year later, they were immediately implementing more pets into the store, and their very first paid mount, the Celestial Steed. It's important to note that this mount generated over $2 million in just over 4 hours of being released, and from that point on, the Blizzard store took off, being flooded with more skins, pets, and microtransactions every year.
$2 million in 4 hours from a microtransaction.
Onward. It's gotten to the point now where you can officially buy in-game gold for real-life money, turning World of Warcraft into a pay-to-win game. As the industry began to notice this success, more and more developers were hired to create and invent more avenues of microtransactions. So, with that, the Battle Pass was now born, and it was first introduced inside of Dota 2. This now allowed players the optional purchase of a pass that provided them with various challenges and objectives to unlock more items and generally try to increase rewards the more you play their game.
Now, with battle passes, I'm okay with the battle pass because there's a free track and a paid track. And again, if you like a game, okay, and what I don't mind about battle passes is that it's $10 for like 50 things. What I don't like about battle passes is if you don't complete them, they take them away. Now, there are games out there like Halo. If you buy the season pass, you get the whole thing. I think Wayfinder does the same thing. But if I pay you the money, I should be able to earn that whenever I want, right? Not when you tell me I can. So that's my downfall of battle passes. Now, what I like about battle passes as well is that if I like your game, I'm going to play your game. And the more I play your game, the more things I'm going to unlock by leveling up, right? Now, per se, I'm not leveling up in levels inside the game, but I'm leveling up my pass. I'm okay with that, okay? Instead of spending $20 on one cosmetic, I'm spending $10 on 50 levels or 100 levels, whatever it is, and I get multiple cosmetics, multiple XPs, multiple currencies, right? There's stuff in that battle pass. I don't partake in battle passes unless I actually put the time into your game. So the way I play battle passes is if I play your game and I put 60 hours into your game and I unlock that battle pass, well, then I'll give you the $10 because I will not give you the $10 ahead of time, because if you take it away from me before I can get there and I don't have the time in my life, then I'm not going to do it. But I'm okay with battle passes the way they're partake, but I just don't like the way they pull them from you.
Gaining inspiration from Madden and FIFA's Ultimate
No, Fallout First is not a battle pass. Fallout First is paying for a private server. The battle pass that's inside Fallout, Travis, is that like that board game thing they do. That's free, and there's a paid track. But the Fallout First gets you extra bonuses and stuff, but you're paying for your private server. That's what you're paying for, with extra bonuses as well.
Team using a yearly time-gated system, they actually doubled down on this, making it even more time-sensitive, lasting about 3 months. This created a massive amount of FOMO within the gaming community, as these are rewards that you might never see again. This fear of not collecting these rewards after they're gone forever brought you even more dark pattern selling tactics from developers. Monetization was officially evolving. Since then, a wide variety of games and even MMOs adopted this same model, including the biggest being Fortnite, Apex Legends, Call of Duty Warzone, Diablo 4, and New World, each iteration building upon the foundation laid by Dota 2. In fact, it's gotten so bad that what used to be great franchises like Call of Duty have been poisoned, morphed, and Frankensteined into what the game is today by using every single form of microtransaction we've spoke about so far.
Yeah, they bring in Spawn and Skeletor and all these other events. Like, Call of Duty's not even Call of Duty anymore. It's literally Fortnite for adults. That's what it is.
From loot boxes to battle passes to skins
All right,
to
Papa.
FOMO.
Later.
They've done it all. And what once used to be such an amazing franchise has turned into a game where you could play as superheroes, Diablo characters, sports athletes, pop stars like Nicki Minaj,
Oh, man, I can't wait to get Nicki Minaj.
and even horror characters in a first-person shooter game about war. During all of this, it's now become more beneficial for game developers to design systems in the game that make things intentionally harder or worse for the player. By doing so, it allows them to directly sell you the solution to that.
You know what? I can't wait. I can't wait for the next, like, Call of Duty, like, World War II edition, and Snoop Dogg's in the game. I can't, you know, I'm going to make a World War II accurate game where I can bring Michael Bublé inside the game, right? Or George Clooney. I can't wait.
Problem through their paid cash shop, and this is known as paying for convenience. The most common examples of something like this are minimalizing your storage space and you could pay for extra storage, making the leveling experience slow so you could pay for a temporary XP boost, limiting your available character creation slots so they could sell you more slots to create as many as you would like, making the game map intentionally large or your character slow so you could purchase faster mounts, or even discovering fast travel points. Developers at this point are intentionally shooting themselves in the foot, betting that you will pay for instant gratification solutions to their problems.
Of course I'm going to boost. Are you really going to tell me I'm going to spend an extra 200 hours playing the game? Fuck that.
Now, what he just said there, see, there's a difference between letting me play the game and it takes like 10 hours, or if it takes me 200 hours. Right? And he's right. Why would I put 200 hours in? Especially if the grind is shitty. Okay? And fundamentally, that burger that they showed, where the microtransactions get bigger and bigger, that's what ruins the story. That's what ruins the gameplay. Because the gameplay was there and it was fair, where you just play the game, you enjoy the game, you unlock things in the game, but then they're like, wait a minute, you want to play the game and you want to enjoy it? Sorry. This thing that would take you 10 hours is not going to take you 70 hours to get that one thing.
I'm not contradicting myself at all. Everybody is going to do this.
To milk things even further, major game releases will usually do what is called an early access
Okay,
release.
this is the new thing now, right? Now it was the pre-order, but now it's the early access, 3 days early, 5 days early, pay the extra $30, pay the extra $50.
Release to those who spend money on an enhanced edition of the game. We've seen this recently with games like Diablo 4 and Starfield, where you could spend an extra $20 to play the game before everyone else. By this point, the burger that was once pay in full and a beautiful symbiotic relationship between players and developers has now been
There you go. See? It's amazing. I didn't even watch this video yet, and I knew exactly that's what it was.
more and more corrupt by the day to the point where it is nearly unrecognizable. Now, in order to get the full experience of a modern game, you don't just simply pay for the box price. There are now so many systems developed and practiced by psychologists and developers to get you to pull out your wallet and spend more money. It's very simple now. Games aren't created anymore with the full intent to create a
Yeah, but the problem with that, Water, is people buy it and then they're bored because then they're not going for anything. Now they just have it and they're like, yeah, I'm kind of bored. And they put it down. That's it. That's the problem.
great player experience. Games are businesses. The best way to make money now through the gaming business is by using the modern strategies that were developed over the last 20 years. Loot boxes, skins, pre-order exclusive bonuses, battle passes, selling player conveniences, exclusive currencies. Instead of hiring game developers, they hire people to come in and streamline these microtransactions.
Yeah, look at this. Predatory monetization, categorization, unfair, misleading, and aggressive monetization techniques in digital games from player perspective. Game dynamic design to drive spending. Pay or grind. Pay or wait. The nerf cycle. Game builds dependency on microtransactions. Unfair matchups. Free game experience underpowered. Payment needed to avoid negative consequences. Then it goes to the next category. Product not meeting expectations. Sales of useless products of duplications. Product does not incorporate everything player believes in it. Early access content end up with something different. Buy something not wanted to get desired product. Separate re-release or product as free, cheap, or easy to get. Monetization strategy changed partway through game life cycle. Then it goes to monetization of basic quality of life. Core aspects of the game monetized. Parts of the game locked behind paywalls. Limited inventory space without paying. Game unplayable without spending money. Then it goes to in-game currency. General existence of in-game currency. In-game currency, actual prices. Discussing actual prices. Multiple currency types causes confusion. Fixed purchase rates are unfair. Then it goes to pay to win. Advantage over their players. Subscription features. Boosts and pay to play competitively. Then it goes to predatory advertising. Unrealistic presentation of the product. Lack of information about conditions of the transaction. Aggressive advertising. Then it goes to general persistence of microtransactions. Microtransactions is a business model. Payment mechanisms in paid and product, and overpricing. And then there's the other ones. Teasers, limited time offers, battle passes, and dark interference design patterns.
Systems with proper psychology to encourage you to spend more money, and the truth is, this system works. When it feels like games today can't compare to games of the past, it's because most of the time, they simply can't. Innovation in modern gaming hasn't become still, it simply switched its focus. It went from what new great things can we make that players will love to how can we make a game for the least amount of money with the most aggressive and manipulative monetization people will accept.
You know what I like about what I like about this? Look, full game, no microtransactions. Make a game, sell a game. Play the game. You like the game, keep playing the game. If you don't like the game, stop the game, buy a new game. Then we have skins, loot boxes, OP paid weapons, season passes, paid weapons, attachments, 4 DLC packs. Okay. What I like about this kid, the Comeback Kids, this channel, sounds like a young guy. Okay. I'm happy that someone like this is actually kind of waking up to seeing what it is. Okay. We need more people to come awake to this stuff. Okay. Because it's okay to have certain things in the game, but it's getting outrageous on how many things they have in this game or in the games.
Of money with the most aggressive and manipulative monetization people will accept. Games aren't made with developers whose intent is to make you happy and give you a great experience. They're created by corporations whose sole focus is on making the most amount of money and fast. And this leads right into an...
Oh, this is another thing before he even continues. I love that people that defend the companies, right? First of all, they think that when they make a game like Apex Legends, that it costs them $200 million like a Last of Us or God of War type of thing, right? And they're like, well, they got to keep the studio lights on. Meanwhile, you hear them making one sale of microtransactions outsold, one cosmetic in a game, sold more than an entire game. And then FIFA is making billions of dollars, which outdid Last of Us, Red Dead, Skyrim, and Cyberpunk combined. Okay? But they're like, well, they got to keep the lights on. It's expensive. They got to keep the lights on. You're delusional. All of you are delusional if you believe that because you didn't buy a microtransaction, okay, they can't make it. Maybe on a free-to-play game, but I'm pretty sure Genshin Impact is doing quite well in their design, okay? But when a game comes out and it's $70, $100, $125 for the deluxe edition and then the 3-day early access or whatever, they've made all their money from the game they created. Do you think for 1 second that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 didn't make a profit off of their shortest game ever at full price and early access where they got $100? And you don't think that people bought like Nicki Minaj from the actual game itself or whatever else is in there? Come on, bro. Wake up. Wake up.
Another reason why gaming isn't fun anymore. Games are released broken or simply rushed out. Giving developers the ability to patch a game post-release as a live service is really an incredible development that a lot of people overlook nowadays. This means that developers can actually communicate with the community and make updates with balance changes and generally clean up the game to how it was intended to be played. You now have the luxury as a developer to fix, make adjustments, and even sometimes
You're going to have to fix.
make drastic changes post-launch with this amazing availability of live service support. And you may be asking yourself, well, these are all great things, right? Well, not entirely. The thing is, it starts to get into a real gray area when using this live service support model as an excuse throughout the game's development to fix problems later on.
Yeah, look at
There's a very poor
the article we just read of Worlds of Avium. Oh, well, we're fixing the stuff. Game's not ready. I don't care what game. Whatever game you have, that's the best game in the world. If it comes out and there's bugs, broke, unfinished, it's not ready for prime time. They didn't make the game, so they shouldn't sell the game. When you're done making the game, then you can sell the game.
Habit that's been built around gaming development. Developers now crutch on the opportunity to fix a game after it's been launched, rather than taking the time needed to produce the best quality possible game. I'm not saying that before this revolution, games were released perfectly. Developers just knew that...
Well, I want to rewind that. That dude was up on the high rope there.
I'm not saying that...
He's on a table that's floating in the midair. There's like 3 tables up there.
Before this revolution,
and then he jumps
games
off.
were released perfectly. Developers just knew that once it was shipped, it was over. The job was done. It was baked on those CDs and it was being shipped. So they absolutely had to do their best to check every corner to make sure the game wasn't full of glitches or bugs. This ship it off and fix it later way of thinking in modern gaming has ruined so many massive title releases as of late. Diablo 2 was released, and yeah, it needed the Lord of Destruction expansion, but it was a stable game nonetheless. Diablo 3 and 4, bug-ridden disasters, and they both had launches with error codes and game-breaking bugs all over the place.
And at that point, when people buy a game, when you spend money on something, majority of the population tries to justify it to themselves, right? Well, I bought a game for $100. Well, it's broken, buggy. Well, I had fun. That is not the point. The point is that you bought a game that was broke, and now you're trying to justify it to yourself that, well, it's okay because I bought it broke as long as I feel like I got my money's worth. But what it's saying to the industry itself is we're selling them broken games, and we sold millions of copies. Tens of millions of copies. And they're like, we don't need to finish a game. High five, everybody. We sold a game that's not complete, and we made our money back. Why would they make a game that's complete when they can send it out, and by the time, because it moves so fast, there's another game waiting in the wings. You buy this game, you play this game, you're like, I'm okay with it. It was broken, buggy. I'm just going to go play this other game now until they fix this game. And you justify it to yourself. Instead of, don't buy the game at launch and let them sweat and go, oh shit, maybe we should make a full game.
Cyberpunk 2077 was one of the biggest disappointments of all time on release and was quite literally unplayable to the point where Sony actually pulled it from the PlayStation Store and was offering full refunds.
When this was happening, they sold 12 or 13 million copies. No, they sold 8 million copies pre-launch, right? Before day one. And everyone got their copy. These came out, article after article, PlayStation's pulling it from the store, and they still sold 5 million more copies when people knew it was broke, buggy, and unfinished.
BioWare's Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem games were released, and they both had disappointing launches, being polluted with bugs, broken ports with major FPS drops, and just horrifying cutscenes that rarely worked properly. No Man's Sky wasn't a technical disaster at launch, but it failed miserably at living up to fan...
This is the exception. This is now the exception to what games are. As good, or I should say as bad as No Man's Sky was when it came out, and how good it is now, everyone looks at No Man's Sky and compares it. Can we have that No Man's Sky moment?
Expectations, to the point where developers lied or exaggerated about many of the features the game would launch with. The reason why this is such a gray area is that developers nowadays release games half-promised or just simply broken. Without these live service updates, these current games wouldn't even exist today. Cyberpunk recently just came out with an expansion that's absolutely killing it right now. Diablo 4 should be playable in a few years' time, and No Man's Sky has made an incredible comeback and is easily one of the best space exploration games today. My point is, why should we as the player suffer by spending $70 on a video game release that is lacking half of the features promised, completely broken and full of bugs, or just games that are boring and simply...
Yeah, you gotta remember, right? No Man's Sky, when it came out, was supposed to be a multiplayer game, right? It was a multiplayer game, and remind you, it was a PlayStation exclusive, okay? Not until it broke the PlayStation exclusive where it went to the full systems did they actually fix it and put multiplayer inside the game. They actually had to put stickers on the box, right? People make fun of Redfall because they had to put the stickers on the box to make it where it wasn't 60 frames per second. It was only 30 frames per second. Okay? But everyone mysteriously forgets that PlayStation had to put stickers on the box to make No Man's Sky a single-player game with no multiplayer.
Disappointing to play. Why should we have to wait multiple years for games to be enjoyable and make a comeback like No Man's Sky or Cyberpunk 2077? A video game bought by players should never feel like they are rolling the dice to see if it's even in a workable state. The gaming industry nowadays is similar to the film industry. Developers care about making their game as flashy and beautiful as possible on the outside without digging deep to make sure the game is solid with good gameplay loops and creative story. And this is why so many people are stuck in this same loop. They will buy a brand new game, get bored of it within less than a week's time, and go right back to what they were playing.
Welcome to the consumers of 2023. No Man's Sky is not a first party. Didn't say it was, L. I said it had an exclusive with PlayStation when it came out.
Before. This is exactly why we go back to those games of...
Here it comes. L's coming in. I'm a PlayStation player. I gotta protect it. Shields up. Right? Didn't say anything. Didn't say anything about being exclusive first-party title. I said they had an exclusive with... Because they put money into No Man's Sky. They literally paid them to make No Man's Sky and launch it the way they did.
The good old
I know
days.
PlayStation can't do anything wrong.
And believe me, the industry has noticed and they are taking advantage of that now because all we ever get nowadays are remakes and remasters. The gaming industry has always followed certain trends to what was successful. The success of World of Warcraft sparked the MMO revolution where countless MMOs were released with a subscription-based model. League of Legends' success caused new MOBAs to be constantly released. Overwatch encouraged hero-based FPS shooters to come out. Fortnite revolutionized battle royales. Developers and shareholders always keep track of...
Can we also look at that Fortnite also revolutionized how to make a shitty game for Save the World before it did Battle Royale? Now they kind of just shoved that underneath, right? How not to make a game, and then how to make a comeback.
what's succeeding in the industry. The truth is...
Yeah, L, I brought up PlayStation because it's facts. I know it's hard to believe, but PlayStation paid No Man's Sky for exclusivity and helped fund the game that came out broke, buggy, unfinished. And not until after the exclusivity broke did they actually fix the game to what it is. These are facts.
of the matter is, certain game genres are just not as profitable as others. And what I mean by that is that they can't implement all of their grubby little microtransaction systems inside of them. The sad thing is, there's actually a lot of great things that come out of re-releasing a game. Remakes are a great way to bring modern gamers the opportunity to play the games that you once fell in love with when you were younger. Developers can even add on to their old project to feel a lot more modern and give a fresh experience.
I don't think remakes are the way. Remasters are the way, not remakes.
After playing Red Dead Redemption 2 recently, I was actually intrigued to go play Red Dead Revolver, which was released back in 2004. And I gotta tell you, it was pretty difficult playing something that looked like this. And a great example is Diablo 2 Resurrected. This relaunch completely resparked the community and has been a major success ever since its re-release. The big problem with remasters and re-releases comes in when companies try to sell you their old games over and over again rather than coming up with something new. With Skyrim being re-released 9 different times, it's become a running joke in the community. Skyrim's Legendary Edition, Skyrim VR, Skyrim Special Edition, Skyrim Remastered,
Skyrim.
and modded. At this point, it just feels like they're trying to tug on our heartstrings and
Who's doing that now? Let's see. If it is not Skyrim, it's Last of Us. Last of Us 2.
make money off of nostalgia without
Skyrim waited a decade. Last of Us waited 12 months.
even doing anything properly. Warcraft 3 Reforged was launched with HD graphics, but the game was simply broken and missing beloved features that the original game had.
Only difference between Reforged and
Yeah, the Skyrim edition.
Classic is this button right here, nothing else. Anything anyone else tells you is a lie. Anything Blizzard tells you is a lie.
GTA, the definitive edition, used an AI upscaler to re-release the game and had an insane amount of visual bugs. Silent Hill, the HD edition, came out with even more bugs than the original release back then, and took out the game's trademark fog inside of Silent Hill, which left the game
Last of Us 2 does deserve a remaster 12 months after it came out, Travis? Really? Why don't they just wait a year and then release the game as is now?
feeling way worse than the original. Activision even remastered Modern Warfare and added microtransactions into a
I mean, what's the difference? Cyberpunk waited 3 years to fix their game. Last of Us 2 could have waited and then released the game as it did.
game that
Oh, doesn't. Sorry.
never even had them in the first place.
First, take a big step back and literally fuck your own face!
Can I... Side note. One of the best characters Tom Cruise has ever done. Ever done.
First, take a big step back and literally fuck your own face! I am talking scorched earth, motherfucker! I will massacre you! I will fuck you up!
In the past, it was incredibly rare to see remasters back on old consoles like the Xbox, PlayStation, GameCube, or even PlayStation 2, and that's because their main focus was to create a brand new game. It seems as if everything is about money. Why should a company take risks on coming up with new characters?
Yeah, why should a game company take risks to make a game? You know, why should the bakery down the street open up a bakery and take the risk of opening a bakery up in that area? Why should the guy who opens up a mechanic shop take a risk about opening a mechanic shop and seeing if he gets customers, right? Why should the gaming company take a risk?
Stories, systems, and super fun endgame loops that people enjoy when they simply can just slap a coat of paint on what was once loved, save hundreds of millions, and make profit. The sad thing is that we know it's possible to make a great game. While major game studios continue to copy each other's ideas with their blockbuster titles, we're starting to see the rise of indie developers bringing something unique and refreshing to the table. Unburdened by corporate constraints and always having to fill in a financial agenda, they actually have the freedom to experiment with new ideas, gameplay mechanics, and art styles.
I have an idea. Why don't the companies stop going, hey, let's make a $200 million game and start bringing it back down to the roots of, why don't we try to get a game that's like 50 million, AAA game, 75 mil, right? And start a new IP, not at the intent of being like Immortals of Avium, right? Where I don't even know how much that was, right? Probably over 100 mil, easy, right? But why don't they make a smaller game, sort of like the movies? Look at the movies industry, right? The Marvels, $325 million budget, okay? After being delayed and reshoots and all this stuff. And this weekend, it made a whopping $10 million. At a combined total of like 116 million or something like that, okay? Yet a movie that comes out that costs $50 million and then goes and makes $200 million is profitable. But no, they got to make all the money. Video games is no different. They're doing the exact same thing, right? They're passing the buck to us. Well, we spent $200 million on this game, and you know we have to keep the lights on. We have to charge microtransactions instead of just making a game. 50 mil gets the intern devs, or it gets you less really skilled devs. When I work on a film, when I work on a production, I'm way more than an intern, right? And that's why when it's a union shoot, there's maybe 10 people that are union and they get paid the big bucks, and everybody else that's working their way up at the industry gets paid a lot less, so you can control the budget. I know it's crazy.
This results in games that push boundaries and cater to specific interests or communities within gaming. Games like Minecraft, The Darkest Dungeon, Limbo, Hades, Amnesia, all beloved indie titles. Even the highly anticipated Ashes of Creation MMO is being developed and published by indie developers. And while the success of Baldur's Gate 3 is amazing while being a AAA game, the game's primary developers were an independent studio. It is passionate developers looking to make a stand against this money-hungry way of gaming nowadays. And in my opinion, indie games will undoubtedly play an increasingly vital role in shaping the future of video game entertainment. Now, so far, we've spoken about a wide variety of different topics.
This is a good video. It's a good video by the Comeback Kids.
What has made games great? The rise of monetization and how it's been implemented. Game releases being broken or simply rushed out. The only thing being done now are remakes and remasters, and there practically being no originality in the industry. And while being true, these are all very big problems, there's still one major problem that we haven't discussed. A problem so massive and deadly that you don't even know it's there. A problem that's like a silent blade in the night. The problem being you, the
Yeah, no, I've called this out for years.
players. Believe it or not, we are to blame as well. With the revolution of the internet coming into play, it has heavily impacted.
This is exactly why I don't make. This is exactly one of the reasons I don't make how-to videos of like where to find this, where to do that, where to go do. Like I try not to ruin anything for anybody.
The gaming industry. Even before a game is released nowadays, there are hundreds of videos and websites out there displaying everything there is to know inside of the game. Buying a game at GameStop, bringing it home, and exploring something you've never seen is gone. That feeling of longing into a new MMORPG for the first time and being flooded with discovery and exploration is not going to come back. It's because every game you play nowadays has no real life to it.
No, because the marketing team, okay, the bigwigs, the suits, the marketing team ruins games for everybody. And that's marketing team from people in the big that hand out codes to content creators and content creators that get it early access, and then they make reviews and stuff like that. And then they tell you every little nook and cranny of what's happening in that game. And day one it comes out, and you can go look up these things and constantly just get all the information. And it ruins it. It desensitizes you. It ruins everything about gaming.
Because months and weeks before the game is ever even released, content creators are shoving gameplay guides, reviews, tips and tricks, and how to get overpowered within the first hour of playing the game down your throat. And it's without a doubt detrimental to a first-time player experience. We, as the players, have become so worried about the destination and have...
Right, you don't even play the game. You're trying to level up so fast. What's the best way to get to the end game fast? And then go, well, there's nothing in the end game.
completely forgotten about the journey. Back in 2004, leveling up in classic World of Warcraft was an epic event that took countless weeks and sometimes months to reach max level. It was truly incredible discovering everything there was out there. Endless creatures to fight, dungeons to explore, professions to level up. It was a whole new world that you've never seen. When Classic re-released back in 2019, brand new players were running the same dungeons over and over again to get to max level as quickly as possible. The reason being is because that was the meta. The game quickly started to become only about being the top 1% in a game 15 years old.
Crazy.
What used to be about playing a game to have fun, roleplay, and make great memories, now became trying to play at the highest level to emulate your favorite streamer and content creator. And don't get confused, speedrunning in video games is a very popular activity that many people find enjoyable.
It's also a
Being
very
the
small
best you
niche.
can is definitely something to strive for and achieve, but it's becoming more and more common to do so at the cost of your own fun. Things like tier lists, DPS meters, speed clearing, rankings, and leaderboards all heavily influence players in selecting what's the best rather than what they find the most fun.
Exactly. We talked about this. We talked about this when we played Lost Ark. We talked about this when we talk about metas, right? Well, all these, we have 6 classes to pick from, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, there's really only one class to use, and if you're not using this class, then there's no reason to do it, right? This is exactly the same thing if you go back to even Destiny. Well, if you don't have a Galahorn, you can't come in. So it's not about using all these other weapons. It's about you have to have this weapon to do this thing. If you don't have this thing, then you can't play with us.
The truth is that it's human nature to always try and be the best that you can be. And with unlimited information out there at the tap of your fingertips, why wouldn't you be playing the most effective way possible? Because if you don't, other people will.
And this also goes into people when they buy their way through the game. It's like you pay $70 for the game, and then you pay to speed yourself through the game, and then it's like then you're done playing the game. So you pay $140 to get through the game as fast as possible to put it down so you can bitch about the game. Okay.
So now, all of that brings us to the present. So what now do you think is the cause of why gaming isn't fun anymore? Is it because we make it about being the best? Is it because everything you need to know about a game is already discovered before the game is even out? Is it because there's no buy a game, get the full game experience because there are things like battle passes, skins, and loot crates implemented? Is it because games are not released properly due to live service allowing developers to fix it all later and them being complacent? Is it because there's no
I'm gonna rewind that again. I'm gonna rewind that whole piece right there.
best? Is it because everything you need to know about a game is already discovered before the game is even out?
Yes.
Is it because there's no buy a game, get the full game experience because there are things like battle passes, skins, and loot crates implemented? Is it because games are not released properly due to live service allowing developers to fix it all later and them being complacent? Is it because there's no creativity in new generational games being released as they're too risky, expensive, and doesn't fit the corporate monetization agenda? Or is it simply the fact that it's all of it combined and it's just an industry in decline from corruption? I'm not here stating that
I agree. The last part he just said, it's all of those things is why it is what it is. But someone will come in and be like, well, I'm having fun. You could still have fun the old way. Just saying. You could still have fun the old way.
that every game out there is bad. I'm stating that it's very hard to have faith in an industry that every single time I play a new game or make content on one, I feel like I'm rolling the dice on $70, whether it's going to be broken or a full-on cash grab. Always throughout my life, I've used gaming as an escape to get out of the craziness of what is going on. But when gaming turns into nothing but chores and extra monetization being shoved in my face, most of the time it feels worse than life itself. And it's the sad truth no one wants to talk about. What do you think about the state of modern gaming today? What do you think is the main reason gaming has changed over the last 20 years? What was the last good game you remember playing? Let us know in the comments section.
A couple, actually, this year. I think it's a couple this year. A good game that I played this year was Hogwarts Legacy. I love Hogwarts Legacy. I love the fact that I explored that game inside and out, and I never looked up anything, and I just enjoyed playing the game, right? I love that I played Starfield this year and never looked up anything, and me and Sarge, week after week, would come on the podcast, and he'd say, did you find this yet? I'd be like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I love that fact that I did that.
Below. If you haven't already, check out our recent documentary on the fall
This
of...
is a good video. This is a really good video. I'm going to give him a like. We have his link down below as well, the Comeback Kids. This is a good video.